Beautiful good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 28th of March 2023. I hope you're having a lovely morning. I myself here in studio, Miriam Kaimba, your host, and my colleague Zipporah Mshala, we are trying our best to have a lovely good morning.
Yes, definitely. It is that time of the week when you get, up and about. Having survived Monday, I'm using the word survived.
Survived.
Survived Monday.
That's why I said we are trying, to
Once you survive Monday, you can survive the entire week. And so now we're just up and running and ready to, spend the rest of the week productively. And we hope that is the situation for you too, our viewers. What do you expect today, Miriam?
Anyways, in the studio will be later joined by a guest from the church, Reverend Solomon Mbulo, who is going to help us, just telling us about the expectation of the church on the upcoming, democratic summit, democracy summit that we are going to have, and well as at 07:30 hours, Zipporah, we're going to be talking about the importance of ensuring that we secure our firearms. This is in relation to what the story we did yesterday of where an 8-year-old boy did, accidentally shot his friend. Very sad. An 11-year-old boy. Anyway, we say condolences to the family, and we hope that the young boy who did the alleged act, is being taken care of, and he's given the counseling that he needs at the moment. Yeah.
Definitely quite interesting. But anyway, let us take a look at what the doctors have for us this morning before we start our day. Let's take a look at the health corner.
Hi and good morning. Welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are looking at a very interesting topic, and we're looking at a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, yesterday we talked about what is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we said that it's a condition where there's increased production of male hormones in the body of a female, and this may result in having amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea, which is where you have irregular menses, or you might have no menses at all. So usually women with PCOS would also have cysts, which is cysts that form in the ovaries. So today we want to understand what really causes ovarian or polycystic ovarian syndrome. So the cause is not really known, but there's the researchers say that it's caused mostly by insulin resistance. So people who have insulin resistance are the ones who would usually get this syndrome of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, what is insulin resistance? It's a condition where a person has more insulin that is being produced in the body that the body is not utilizing. And so this usually comes about because of taking too much foods that have sugar. And so because your intake of sugar is increasing, your body also starts to increase the amount of insulin that it produces. And so there is a point when the body starts resisting this insulin, and so you do not have your cells stop responding to the insulin that is being produced, and so you end up having sugar, and most cases you end up having type 2 diabetes. And so people who have increased insulin resistance are at risk of having polycystic ovarian syndrome, because with increased insulin in the body, there's a dysfunction in the way the ovaries function and respond to hormones. And so There's what we call hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, and so this axis is the one that helps to regulate your hormones in the body and to regulate your menses. And so when there's increased insulin, this axis is affected, and so the body is not going to produce hormones at the right time in the right amounts. And so your body is not going to respond the way it's supposed to, and that's how come you end up having irregular menses and also have or not have menses for some time. So that is how polycystic ovarian syndrome usually comes about. And also the body will tend to produce more of these male hormones. So the ovaries will start producing more of the male hormones instead of the female hormones, because the female hormones are not really there to regulate the production of male hormones. So most people who have this condition would have certain symptoms, and some of these symptoms we're going to discuss them tomorrow. So make sure that you watch tomorrow again so that you can be able to learn what are some of the symptoms that people with polycystic ovarian syndrome would have. And we'll also look at what you can do or what can be done in the hospital to treat this condition, and also what are the complications of polycystic ovarian syndrome. I do hope you have learned something today. Today we're talking about the causes of polycystic ovarian syndrome. We say that it comes about because of insulin resistance. This is where your body is not responding to the insulin that your body is producing, and so because of the high insulin, your body starts dysfunctioning in the way it produces hormones that help with regulating your menses. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
I hope those healthy tips from the doctor was very helpful and did indeed help you, get one or two things there. But, you need to understand that, the doctors are there to help offer the healthy tips as necessary. But if in any case you have such a symptom and it persists, please make sure that you visit your healthy facility. But anyway, right about now, we'll go direct into our morning boost and just do a little exercise as we get running for the day.
quite interesting there. I hope you enjoyed that exercise because Miriam and I did. Miriam, how do you feel after that exercise?
It was exhausting, and you know, it's quite a long time since we did one or two little exercise here on set, but we are glad that we are back in full pack. Yeah, to ensure that we exercise and we advocate the need to exercise. The importance of exercising. Quite
interesting. Just now let's take a look at how our kwacha is faring against major international convertibles. Let's have the money market. So we have the Great British Pound there buying at 25 kwacha 73 ngwe, selling at 26 kwacha 24 ngwe. We have the United States dollar buying at 20 kwacha 99 ngwe, selling at 21 kwacha 14 ngwe. The euro buying at 22 kwacha 64 ngwe, selling at 23 kwacha 09 ngwe. The South African rand buying at 1 kwacha 15 ngwe, selling at 1 kwacha 17 ngwe. And yesterday I think our dollar was less than it is today. It is actually almost on the 21 kwacha mark on the buying side, but
on the selling part 22. And someone was telling me, Miriam, I've seen a lot of people buying dollars. They don't want to sell them. They're keeping dollars now.
Yeah. Like I was telling just yesterday, I withdrew about $300. It was 6,048 kwacha. But then back then it would have been about 3,000 kwacha.
Yeah.
So, it's good. That was you get a lot of money for so little,
You get a lot of money for so little, but then the concern again comes on what this has, the impact it has on the prices of commodities. Yeah. Exactly. But anyway, we have now officially opened our phone lines, and you, our viewers out there, can take part in our conversation this morning, where we are looking at the importance of securing firearms in your homes. Please, if you own a gun, you need to ensure that you secure your firearm from your little one. Yesterday we did a story of an 8-year-old boy of Lusaka's Makeni East, that is in Chawama constituency, who allegedly shot his friend while they were trying to show his friend his grandfather's firearm. And some of the people that we spoke to on the ground yesterday were saying, the little boy was like, it was a normal play out that the kids needed to have, but in the process the little boy was so excited. I think with what, again, kids watch in movies, action movies, has also, it portrays something, on the child. So it was quite a very sad situation where this young boy wanted to show the friend the gun, and then in the process ended up pulling the trigger, and killing the friend instantly. Quite sad. Quite sad.
Yes, that's a sad situation. Then let's just take a look at that story, and please do remember to join us in the conversation by calling the numbers on your screen or leaving us a message on Facebook. Let's take a look.
At only 8 years old, this little boy of Lusaka's Makeni East in Chawama constituency has failed to understand exact what might have happened. What seems like a normal play out with his friend turned into a tragedy after he allegedly shot dead his 11-year-old friend using his grandfather's firearm. Upon arriving at the crime scene, the deceased mother could not handle the news. Eyewitnesses were traumatized and failed to explain what transpired. However, information obtained on the ground has revealed that the juvenile invited the deceased, identified as John Sakala, to his house so that he could have a look at a firearm his grandfather owns. Full of excitement, wanting to show his friend the firearm, the little boy allegedly pulled the trigger, killing his friend instantly. Some of the eyewitnesses spoken to have expressed concern and urged parents fond of keeping firearms to place such in much secured area.
Let's hear a gunshot. We are the one who took the boy to the police. Sin Pamenza Chitik, I was not there. And we have to secure the guns as parents. When we have guns at home, we know that we've got children. So we have to secure those guns.
We need security for our little ones. Yeah, because this is sad. We need to look out for our kids, whom they are hanging around with. We need to know and take good care of our children.
According to eyewitnesses, the grandfather of the 8-year-old boy, aged 72 years old, is a retired Zambia Army officer. Meanwhile, police spokesperson Danny Mwale says the firearm was already loaded.
Police suspect that the firearm was already loaded with ammunition by the owner, identified as Mason Nyirenda, aged 72, of Makeni East. The body of the deceased has been taken to the University Teaching Hospital mortuary, awaiting post-mortem, while Mr. Nyirenda has been charged and arrested with the offense of failing to secure a firearm, while the boy, who has shot at his friend, has been taken to the social welfare for safe custody.
While at the crime scene, we were reminded that police officers needed more vehicles to effectively curb crimes in communities. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite a sad story there. Once again, my condolences. We extend our condolences to the family of the victim there. But anyways, one thing I got from there, concern, just that concern on the last clip. If you noticed, the officers, when they were about to leave the crime scene, they had to push their vehicle for it to start.
Yeah, that's quite sad. And you know, in many instances, we've heard police say that maybe we can't come to such a place, we do not have transport.
Yeah.
And I think really that's something that should be looked into. I even heard one day I was at a certain meeting and, you know, some stakeholders were suggesting that, you know, we have so many forfeited vehicles, like maybe proceeds of crime. In the end, they're just forfeited to the state. So they're saying this should go towards the police, should go in rural areas, you know, to service the community. I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea indeed, because in my mind I was like, what if, you know, they were having, they went on a certain mission and then an operation and then...
Or a patrol.
And then they were having fire exchange with criminals. Imagine you're an officer.
Can you come out and push?
Would you come out and push? Yes. That's again a concern that you really need to look at.
Yeah.
And you know, I think they can take advantage of the constituency development fund and then maybe just
purchase some vehicles.
So that this is, again, it's a concern to, you know, the councillor, the area member of parliament for that Chawama constituency, so that they can look into this issue and just see how officers, you know, are having challenges in conducting their day-to-day activities. Yeah.
Quite interesting. Please do join us in the conversation by calling the numbers on your screen or leave us a message on Facebook. What is your take on unsecured firearms in homes, and should people even be allowed to own firearms? Like, under what conditions? Of course, you know that some people whereby they live in a maybe insecure area, but what is the mental status? Miriam, just maybe delving more into the story. Yesterday you saw the mental status of the old man. We did see the old man. He looked, you know, like he was not even really aware of what was happening.
Yeah, you know, he looked so distant from
everything. I think he was even pressing his phone.
Yes,
he was on his phone.
He was on his phone.
On a chair. He didn't look concerned.
He didn't look concerned. And again, Zipa, you need to understand that he's an old man. You know, old age also contributes to that. So he didn't really look concerned. So in as much as he was, you know, maybe pressed his gun somewhere, I think he was like,
maybe just forgot. Yeah, you know, when you're old, you have dementia.
Yeah, you forgot things easily. Yeah.
I think he must have. So maybe the younger people in the house, maybe the father of the child, should have ensured that those things are secured, because, you know, that is dangerous. But
according to the information that we got on the ground is that when that allegedly scenario occurred, Zippo, the grandfather was available, was at home, but he was outside the house. Yeah.
Quite a sad story there. Mira, moving on, we do have another story from Garden Compound concerning, the murder of the 10-year-old boy named as Chikondi Banda, who, was discovered dead. Is it last week in a drainage in Emersdale? Yeah, so yesterday, community members were protesting. They went to the house of the alleged killer. And, there was this debate where people were saying, is it okay for police to name a killer? He's just a suspect for now.
He's just a suspect.
But he has confessed to the murder. That is the, the conflict that is there.
When you, in as much as he has confessed to the murder, he's still a suspect and he's taken to court. The due process will be followed until the court says, okay, indeed, they find that indeed he's guilty of the crime. Another thing, Zipporah, that you need to bear in mind is that at the time that these suspects are arrested, sometimes they're tortured. So, in order to just escape torture from the police and what you intend to say something which you didn't even mean to say. So, at the moment, if anyone is arrested, that's why they say you are innocent until proven guilty by the court of law. So, right now, he's treated as a suspect. And, it was quite sad that we saw now people taking the law in their own hands. Imagine, there are other things that people do not understand is that in as much as you're upset, Zipporah, you want to, put out your frustration on this person, you have to understand that in an event you do something to him, you kill him in the process, the law will deal with you. They won't understand that at that particular time you were upset, you were emotional. So people should understand that at this particular time they should let the law, take its course, justice to prevail, so that this person can be taken to court and the due process is followed.
And the thing is that house is for rent, that's the issue. So they went to his parents' house, but the house is actually for rent. It's not, his parents' house, and then they wanted to break it down. So that is what is unfortunate about the whole situation. But anyway, the councillor and the police came in to try to calm down the crowds. But Miriam, police had to send patrols because they were refusing, to just go back. But anyway, let's just take a look at that story.
He was with him from 17 hours. Uncle, shoo. Akakopera kochifundo, that boy, na satana ajepa.
Imagine living in a close-knit community with neighbors who are there to offer a sense of security should anything happen, only to discover that a close neighbor is the prime suspect in the kidnap and murder of your child. This is the case unfolding in Lusaka's Garden Chilulu compound, where a suspect identified by the Zambia police as Nalukui Akafekwa 24, a close neighbor, is the prime suspect in the murder of a 10-year-old boy identified as Chikondi Banda, who went missing on 16th March 2023 on his way back from school. According to the Zambia police, the alleged killers of the boy were demanding 12,000 kwacha ransom, and the boy was later found dead in a drainage passing through a maize field in Emersdale area. The Zambia police have so far arrested 3 people in connection to the same, while the prime suspect has confessed to the murder. Monday morning, scores of irate residents marched to the house belonging to the parents of Nalukui Akafekwa, the prime suspect, in a bid to break it down, a situation which led to confusion.
Kuno kuli problem ya kuti mwana nzana chitwa kidnap apezikako mae challenge amneta pesa akuti bantu wapopanga chongo kuno yeti nyumba ili innocent baja bantu wenzo renting hapa ziyabo nyumba bati bapopwanya nyumba yeti you mean muntu angabale mwana kuti angvomekeza chitefa upu niweka yele makolo siwa maziwa kuti mwana za chita chana so boma ilanga nepo.
While this was happening outside, the family of the deceased were gathered at their house and are calling for justice, stating that the alleged killer is a well-known intercessor at a named church.
Should know that people should know is that the same boy is a son to a policewoman.
Yeah, the mother.
The mother to the boy who killed my grandson is a son to the policewoman. And I don't want that woman, that mother to that criminal to disturb, to jeopardize.
Yeah.
What we want is otherwise, we want him also to be dead. Just imagine a 24-year-old, an intercessor, please.
That boy didn't deserve to die like that. He didn't deserve to die like that. Why? Why did he do that? Why did he do that? If he needed money, money is nothing. We could have given him money. He asked for money. He asked for 2,000 kwacha, and yet he had already killed.
The mother of the boy was, however, inconsolable and not in a position to talk. It only took efforts of Ngwerewa 22 Councillor Adrian Banda and the Zambia police to discourage the crowd from undertaking the act. For now, police patrols are being undertaken to ensure sanity in the community, while the suspects are being held at Emersdale Police Station. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Quite a sad story there, Miriam. I don't know, what are your thoughts on everything? You know, yesterday, so many things happened yesterday here in Lusaka. So many things happened. What is your take on that story?
So many things happened, Zippo. I'm glad that the councillor and the police officers were quick and swift to be on the ground and ensure that, you know, the lives of the parents to the suspect are protected, as well as where they were renting, that property is not
And I think now they have
damaged.
to shift, eh?
Yes, because it's no longer safe for them. Anything can happen.
Even
to
at
them.
night.
At night, you know, and you know, people should understand that the person who is alleged to have committed a crime is someone else, or put the blame on that person. I know we can be related, but you know, I'm not in your mind. I don't think what you think.
And I'm suspecting that maybe it could be an issue of drugs. I'm suspecting, because how do you kill someone, you know, over a 12,000 kwacha? And the issue is that he allegedly killed the person after he allegedly demanded for the money after he had already killed the boy, according to the family. So they asked him, saying, why were you asking for the money then? And then he said, I wanted to escape.
They say they are saying that the suspect is an intercessor. You know,
at a named church.
At a named church. This is a person, Zipporah, that you would think, okay, this is a person who is closer to God, who talks to God, you know. Even their conduct, their action should be upright, you know, something that inspires the society at the end of the day. So to find that he's alleged of, you know, being in such acts, it's quite sad. It's quite sad that but anyway, we'll let the police, you know, do its course and investigate the matter thoroughly and ensure that justice at the end of the day is prevailed for the little boy. Two quite sad stories there. But we did see a funny, I don't know if I can call it a funny, it's within a spiritual story, more of a spiritual story that you did of a coffin. Maybe you can just speed us up to that.
Yeah, so this is from George compound, where, you know, they found a small coffin at someone's house, like outside on the veranda. And the thing is that, you know, these stories, I'm sure we've heard them many times, but then we don't really know exactly the logic of people putting those coffins there, what they're trying to achieve. But people believe that once you find a coffin at your doorstep, then it means that you're going to die. So, so the owner of the house there was challenging the alleged, you know, wizard, saying, no, just come and face me. And I don't know if it works like that for spiritual things. Yeah, but anyway, that was the issue. And the thing is, no one, you know, in the community, the so-called men of God in the community, no one was willing to pray for the coffin. So the councillor just said, okay, for now, someone has gone to look for a man of God to come and pray over this coffin. And then while the rest of the community members were burning the same coffin. So it's surprising, Miriam, that, you know, some men of God, not all, some, yeah, the so-called, some of them want to pray, you know, for miracle money, for this and that. But when it comes to serious issues, they run away. So what is the question? Or maybe to prophesy, oh, this person will win elections. But why is it that in such moments they're running away?
It's quite funny, you know, finding that the owner of the said house was allegedly, you know, calling on the said allegedly wizard, which we don't know exists, to come and face her. Invest. I don't know if spiritual things, you know,
work like that.
Work like that. But anyway, let's just get direct into playing that story, and we'll continue with our discussion.
Despite being in a Christian nation, residents of Kata area under Lima Ward 30 in Lusaka's George compound were at pains in finding a man of God to conduct prayers Monday morning after a small coffin with a cross painted on it was found at one of the doorsteps of the houses. Inside the coffin was what looked like blood, chicken feathers, and some sticks with red cloths around them, causing the members to suspect that it was a witchcraft ritual. While dismissed as basic superstition, such incidences weigh heavy on citizens in Zambia, as many believe in the existence of God and the existence of evil spirits, with such cases suspected to be aimed at killing the house owner. Camnet News spoke to the owner of the house, who has expressed fear. Other residents have threatened to give a beating to the suspect if found.
Ife chankala choti dabwisa kubwera mukupeza kuti pamulyango pa muntu papezeka blood then coffin so chioneka monga kuti ni vijava kuti kapena ezabwera mukusambirapo then after asambirapo manje ndiye momene atayira ka coffin so mai chankala choti dabwisa ni vichani pamene vangochitika mwa George muntu iwabika mumbogoshi so vyachimukanga lelo kuti akuchite kuti epae twekwabe chifwekwa mno mwa George mwendo efile uyu muntu uyu achikana lelo kuti wakupuke ebe vyalelo vyasokoloka kuita vyaba Yesu Kristu we bantu waje turepepa mama vyabo kuna miracles mno mwa George.
Lima Ward 30 Councillor Daniel Mwewa has also commented on the incident.
So we've woken up to the horror scene here in Lima Ward at the area called Kata, where a coffin, this coffin, as you can see, it was actually dropped at the house, at the doorstep of a certain house just nearby there, by unknown people. So on top of it there was blood. And then there were chicken feathers on top of it, and it was tied by a red tape. This is very sad for us. And the blood which was there, actually, it was fresh. So the neighbors, the passerby there saw this, and then they alerted the owner of the house. So this is very sad. We are shocked. We don't even know what to say. So at this moment, as we speak, the owner of the house has gone to call the man of God to come and pray for the house and deliverance and everything.
While some were moving about looking for a man of God who was willing to pray for the affected family, others decided to take the matter into their own hands and decided to burn the coffin. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting. They are shocked. The councillor was shocked. Very, very shocked. I love the part where the other woman was saying, "Tule Peppa, what George? Miracles." I was like, wow.
Yeah. And you know, these witchcraft issues, remember that time there was a story where an old woman was almost burnt alive? I don't know anyway, like we don't really have that evidence. And and sometimes people may just be pranking you. Okay, what can this person do if I put a coffin at their doorstep? You know?
But I get to wonder, like, what exactly transpired what was going on in the mind of that person?
To go and leave a coffin, but with the feathers, the blood, and the red strings.
Maybe they were thieves.
Maybe.
But you know, the sad part might be in a situation where the owner of the house is allegedly suspecting someone. And then, you know, she starts saying, no, it's that person, I think it's that person. And then now people want to take the law in their own hands. That would be the very unfortunate part. Yeah.
Anyway, it's quite interesting. Anyway, moving on, Miriam, we do have another story from Rafael Nakachinda. What story is that exactly?
Yes, so yesterday the Opposition Patriotic Front Information and Publicity Chairperson Rafael Nakachinda was in court for his matter where he is alleged to have defamed President Hakainde Hichilema. This offense gets back to 2021 Zipporah, where he was addressing people at the court grounds, High Court ground. That happened in 2021 when, if you remember, is it 9 PF MPs were chased from Parliament?
I do remember, yes.
So the time he was going to offer solidarity at the High Court ground, he is alleged to have issued statement that the president was summoning judges at his he was allegedly summoning judges at his private residence and intimidating them, as well as coercing them to frustrate PF legal battles. And he also alleged that the president was trying to, to make this country into a one-party state. So those are the allegations that he's facing before the courts of law. And yesterday we saw the state closing their matter, and we are just waiting for ruling on a case to answer, a case or no case to answer. This means that the court will need to determine whether the prosecution team have established a prima facie against him. That will mean that either he will be put on his defense or he can be acquitted. But if he's found with a case to answer, meaning he'll have to be put on his defense and defend himself, give the court his side of the story. But yesterday we saw the arresting officer in the matter, Mr. Innocent Mukwani, giving the court testimony, his testimony on why he allegedly, on why he arrested Mr. Nakachinda on the same allegations after he discovered that indeed he did utter some defamatory remarks against the head of state. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story. And interesting, Zipporah, just after the matter was done, we saw Mr. Nakachinda, issuing out a comment on where he was. He's saying that, at UNZA, the School of Economics should be banned because we have not seen it, held result, because the president has not, done what he has promised the people of Zambia, because he has on several occasions mentioned that he's the chief marketer, but we can't see that. So those are the comments that he gave after his matter was done. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story. We'll continue with our discussion when we come back.
The state Monday morning closed its case in a matter in which Opposition Patriotic Front Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda is accused of defaming the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema. This was after they presented their last prosecution witness, a one Detective Chief Inspector Innocent Mukwani, who testified how he was left with no option but to charge the accused with the alleged offense following his investigations. The Detective Chief Inspector, based at Force Headquarters Crime 1 Department, told Magistrate Irene Wishmanga that he made up his mind to arrest Mr. Nakachinda after establishing that the accused issued defamatory remarks against the Republican president. According to the witness, he narrated that the words allegedly uttered by Mr. Nakachinda that the president was summoning judges and coercing them to take the country into a one-party state was defamatory in nature. In this matter, Mr. Nakachinda is accused of defaming President Hakainde Hichilema in 2021 at the High Court grounds. According to charges before court, Mr. Nakachinda is further alleged to have accused the head of state of summoning judges at his private residence, intimidating and coercing them to frustrate PF legal battles. Meanwhile, speaking shortly after his appearance before court, Mr. Nakachinda had this to say.
A challenge to UNZA. UNZA must do two things, if not three things. One, the University of Zambia should tell us whether Ms. Hakainde Hichilema was attending class or absconding. And if he was attending class, we would want to know whether really the University of Zambia is producing sound economists. Because one of the reasons for which he was entrusted with the responsibility of being president is because he marketed himself as one that would manage the economy better. And looking at his performance, we throw a challenge to the University of Zambia to recall that degree, because it is damaging the reputation of that high institution. If not, if the products are with what the standards so far exhibited by Ms. Hakainde Hichilema, they may have to close the School of Economics at University of Zambia, because the performance is not only embarrassing, but it has caused untold misery on the people of Zambia.
Miriam Kaemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite is interesting. We now transition into our topic of discussion this morning, where we're looking at the expectation of the church on the democracy summit that the country is about to have in few days. And then in studio we are joined by Reverend Solomon Mbulo, who is going to help us, discuss this topic in detail. Good morning, Reverend, and welcome to the Breakfast Show this morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you and good morning, viewers.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So we'll be discussing maybe expectations of the church on many issues, among them, the Democracy Summit, because we've heard many people saying maybe the president should take advantage of the Democracy Summit to state his position to America on the LGBTQ+. So anyway, but just before we do get to the main topic, let us just play a story on the Democracy Summit that was done by our colleagues to set the tone there. But do remember to join us in the conversation by calling the numbers on your screen or leave us a message on Facebook. Let's take a look at that story.
The United States of America is co-hosting the second Summit for Democracy with governments of Costa Rica, the Netherlands, Republic of Korea, and the Republic of Zambia. The second Summit for Democracy will assemble world leaders in a virtual plenary format, followed by gatherings in each of the co-hosted countries with representatives from the government, the civil society, and the private sector. The visit of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is not without negative sentiments from the government critics who feel the U.S. is coming to impose its values on Zambia, such as issues pertaining to the LGBTQ, and persuading Zambia to take a side in the Russia-Ukraine war. The claims, which the Zambian government has refuted on several occasions. We spoke to a historian from the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, on the significance of Zambia hosting the Democracy Summit.
So Zambia to have been chosen is in itself a reflection that our democracy and how we've been conducting our politics in this country has been recognized, and that we're moving in the right direction in terms of democracy.
And when asked about the allegations that the United States wants to persuade Zambia to align itself to its beliefs and principles, Professor Piri had this to say.
Our leaders must be very careful that as they are participating in this conference that is coming, they are not giving in to pressures which will make Zambia go the wrong way and betray the Zambian people. We have our own cultural values. The issues that you have raised, that perhaps because the Americans are coming in, they will push Zambia to say, no, can you support gayism and so on and so forth. Those are issues that our leaders should protect the Zambians, should not fall to. Indeed, we need the support, economic and so on and so forth, but we should not do things which are against our own values as a people.
We also spoke to the social scientist Innocent Kolala, who acknowledged that Zambia's democratic credentials will improve for co-hosting the summit.
Democratically, the country is going to go high because we'll be respected the entire world to say Zambia is amongst such countries which indeed demonstrate the principles of democracy. This has been demonstrated before, where we have seen that we have given power to each other without creating any anarchy in the country or even dropping a blood.
He has, however, condemned and discouraged the Opposition Patriotic Front from protesting against the summit and the visit by the U.S. Vice President.
Our preamble of our constitution, that we need to ensure as a country, we need to ensure that we uphold the tenets of democracy. Since we have chosen as a country to run by using the leadership of democracy, why should they demonstrate for that? Ideally, what we expected as Zambians for them to demonstrate on is some of the issues which they themselves promised.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Quite interesting there, quite interesting. I do hope we do not see any protests, because I'm sure that will send a wrong message out there to the United States of America. And, I'm sure we have been told many times saying this meeting is about enhancing democracy, not, propelling gay rights and all that. But anyway, just to begin our topic today, Reverend, you did have a meeting on Sunday as regards the LGBTQ+. Kindly maybe update us on what the meeting was about, which clergy attended that meeting, what was the agenda, really?
Okay. Thank you very much. We gathered as believers on Sunday afternoon at the government complex. The meeting was organized by the church in Zambia. Okay. Of course, not all members attended. It was a prayer rally. We thought 18th October was too far concerning the happenings in the nation. So we thought that believers should come together and call upon the name of the Lord. Our main scripture which we had was 2 Corinthians 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and they shall hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. That was the main scripture that we are looking at. And we thank God that it was done at a short notice, and with so many believers coming to come together and call upon the name of the Lord. And I would like to highlight here that the meeting also was in solidarity march of prayer concerning the government. The church is supposed to pray for the leaders in authority, as we are commanded in the Bible. Our president has come out very clear that Zambia shall remain a Christian nation, and that being an elder in the SDA church, he cannot promote the gay rights in this nation. And we thank God that even our vice president in the parliament, she has come out very clear that Zambia shall remain a Christian nation. And so we thought as a church that we should pray for our leaders so that they should not be swayed. They need to make a solid decision concerning this nation. Of course, they are facing a lot of pressure from outside, so that Zambia does not remain as a Christian nation. So as a church in Zambia, we came together to pray for them so that they can make their stance clear that Zambia is a Christian nation. We're not going to bow at LGBTQI because of the funding that comes with it. But we're saying these people, our leaders, should maintain their stance as Zambia as a Christian nation. Not only that, apart from that, there are so many happenings like kidnapping, which is happening in the nation. It's a Christian nation. So the church came together also to pray that against such devices, and also we're praying for the parliament to pass godly laws, and we're also praying for our youth in this nation to be upright, not to be involved or swayed by what they hear concerning LGBTQI. So what we're saying that it's a time for the church to arise and also call upon the name of the Lord. We should not just wait for 18th October. And it was amazing that some believers in the prayer meeting, they were very so excited. They were saying, you organizers, why can't we be having such type of prayers every month? We gather as a Christian nation to call upon the name of the Lord. And we're also praying for flood victims. In our country, we have been affected by floods. Other nations, Malawi, Mozambique, and other nations that have been affected by floods. We're asking God to intervene and also to send help to affected families and so on. And we're also praying, for our future leaders, the children of this nation. Thank God that this prayer was handled by somebody from the ministry called Catch Them Early. When they're still young, Catch Them Early. So that's a ministry. They are reaching out to the children And you know, the statistics has also shown that is it about 70-75% of Zambian population consists of youth. No wonder maybe the voting pattern came up that way. So we said, let's catch our children early before they are involved in these things, especially the cartoons that they are watching at home and things like that. So we're saying, no, our children should be brought up in the fear of God. And also we are praying against especially the introduction of sex in a school curriculum, especially early sex. I know that in those days when we were at school, these things were done in biology at the senior level. But now you find that they talk about sex at the early age, grade 2, 3, 4. So we are saying no. As a recreation nation, some of the things should be seen. We should program them later on when they grow up, our children. They should not be spoiled by such things. So, in the nutshell, I would say the prayers were very successful because it was done just at a short notice, and the government complex was almost half full. People calling upon the name of the Lord. And most of the people were happy that we didn't have protocol this time. You know, most of our prayers, which are organized at the national level, there are so many people, protocols, other bodies, overseers, and so on. But this time we didn't have such protocols. We just had believers who had hunger and desire for praying for the mother Zambia.
Interesting. Just to jot down, to single out on the godly law that you want parliamentarians to pass, maybe just highlight us with what are some of the things that you would want this law to contain.
Some of the laws that we would like to see that the parliament, as a Christian nation, should take a firm stance on the laws that, for example, promote homosexuality. They should stand on the word of God that in the beginning, God created male and female. And later on, we read that when the time came for Adam to have a wife, was able to say, wow, now I found bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And so meaning that according to the Bible, which is the foundation of our Christian nation, is that it does not promote homosexuality. So what we are saying is that sex is between man and female, not between male and male or female and female. That the parliamentarians should uphold Christian values as they respect the laws of this nation.
Now, Ella, you brought out an interesting point talking about the cartoons, the movies, and we do have a comment from one of the viewers here who's asking, saying, should movies portraying gay rights be banned in Zambia? So that is a question from our viewers. So maybe they're looking at it from the point of, as you know, it being against the law, but then you find that all these movies are trying to train children in that way. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, that we are pleading and praying for the government to ban such things so that our children are not indoctrinated when they are still young. They should be protected from such things, devices. So we are saying that the government should deliberately come up with some laws or rules that should not these media houses, that they should not promote such things in our nation.
Quite interesting there. And maybe moving on, you did mention issues of kidnapping. Is it in reference to them? Maybe just break it down when you say kidnappings.
Okay. No, of late, I've been seeing that our children are being kidnapped from school and so on. So it was against such that we came up together, said, no, this should not continue. This is a Christian nation. Our children should be safe. When they leave home, going to school, they should be safe. They should be well protected. So we are praying against that thing should not continue. Of course, we have been hearing of such things happening nowadays. But we're saying that these things will not continue, but should come to an end in Jesus' name.
Being a Christian nation, and you mentioned about, we cannot wait for 18th of October for us to come together and pray. Do you think we need to put more days so that we can pray for our country from the certain activities that have been happening of late? You mentioned about kidnapping and so forth and so on.
Yeah, in fact, I would say that although we can do it at the family level, at church level, but I thank God that now the church in Zambia has risen, that they're saying we should not wait for 18th October. Whenever there's an issue taking place that needs prayer, we should come together as a church and pray against such device so that God should intervene. Because he has promised us in 2 Chronicles 7:14 that if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, turn away from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and heal their land. So we believe that if there's a man to pray, there's a God to answer.
Let me just shift you from that. On the church, is the church united in Zambia when it comes, to offer the necessary checks and balance to the current administration? Is the church at the moment united? Because previously we did see in 2021 where we had Christian for this, Christian for that. From the church, we had this division, but at the moment, is the church united?
I would say the church is united. We've got the same goal, but that doesn't mean that we have same views. We might have different views, but when it comes to Christianity values, we are the same. But when it comes to analyzing views, we've got different views. For example, I'll give an example of National Day of House of Prayer. The Pentecostals, they would like to have such type. And there was somehow privileged that we had a meeting at Pamosi when we were preparing for the same event. And one of our members, I think, was a board member from EFZ. I think the president, someone, I guess he has got a program whereby he's meeting different mother bodies. So it was very amazing to hear that some churches, the president said that some churches, they are not in support with the National House of Prayer. Well, some churches are in support. So he was saying, as a leader, it needs to seek God's guidance. But our desire is that the National House of Prayer should be completed, because we are tired of going to other people's church when we have got state funerals. In the country, we normally go to Anglican Cathedral for the Cross, maybe Jesus, Child Jesus for Roman Catholic. But we are saying no, we should have our own beauty, whereby when we have like national funerals, state funerals, where we can go, and then also we should have our own house, whereby the mother bodies can be housed and discuss issues concerning the nation. So, of course, we have got different views. Others are saying, no, that was a political marriage. That's why they brought up the National House of Prayer. But it's not political marriage. I believe even in Israel, they used to have synagogues, the temples, where they used to go. So we need to have also our own synagogue, the National House of Prayer. And I'm still praying and urging our current government to complete that house of, the National House of Prayer, so that we can be calling upon the name of the Lord there. Of late, I thank God that the few women are still going at that small structure which is still there. I remember there's a small structure. We were waiting for the main one to complete. they are going there every Thursday to have prayers for the nation. So we need our own house of prayer.
And earlier you did mention about, godly laws. But then are the laws in Zambia adequate, to curtail people from engaging in these vices? We've seen countries like Uganda taking up, some strict measures against LGBTQI. What laws would you like to see as the church in Zambia to maybe tighten, the issue of LGBTQI+?
The issues I'm talking about laws concerning about human rights. I know as a nation, maybe we belong also to the United Nations, where we have pended maybe certain signatures to the human rights. According to the Bible, we are told that train a child while still young, meaning that there are times a beating of a child is okay, it's allowed according to the Bible. But you find, according to the human rights, they will say that if that child reports you to the police, then as a parent to be locked up. But we are saying no to such type of laws in Zambia, because this is a Christian nation. We should raise up our children in the fear of God. So they should revisit the human rights laws so that maybe they can be applied somewhere else, but not in this nation.
Quite. But anyway, what would you like to see as a church from the Democracy Summit, even as we go towards concluding? What would you like to see as a church from the Democracy Summit?
The upcoming summit is a sign. As a church is very proud because of the peace that we're enjoying. And this peace we're enjoying is coming at a cost. We should not take it for granted because the church has been praying. That's why you find that in Zambia, there's a smooth transition of power because we are always coming against violence in this nation. So to us, it's a plus. To us, is an honor to host such a summit. And our expectation is that as they meet, let other nations as well learn from Zambia, that we can have an election without, after an election, we can still smile at each other. We can still shake hands. We can avoid what bloodshed which is going on in other countries after elections. So we thank God that as believers, to us, we are seeing God answering our prayers.
What could be your concluding remarks?
My concluding remarks is that we are praying for the government, the president, the vice president, the parliament, judiciary, executive, that they should not bow to the external pressure, or maybe want to bring money because they've seen that maybe we've got a lot of debts. Now they want to give us condition. Maybe one of the conditions that in order for us to get their money, we need to bow to LGBTQI. We are saying no to that as a church. So if they want to help us, let us just help us from that. But they should not give us condition. And so that, and we are praying for our president and government that they should make a stance that if it means to die, we will die. But God will not leave us. God will be with us. And we pray that the church and the government will have one voice. Because when Jesus was going up to the Father, he prayed that, I pray for the church to be one. I pray for these people to be one. So meaning that the church should not speak different language and the government should not speak a different language. The church and the government should have one language. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Reverend Solomon Mbulo. It was quite a fruitful discussion that we had with you. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Quite interesting. And I think my takeaway point is the movies. That's my takeaway point, really, because I think that's one way Miriam Whereby we're indoctrinating children and
yes. But giraffe, you find that there's a female giraffe and a female giraffe.
The meeting, yeah, quite sad. But anyway, we thank you so much for coming through. In studio, we were joined by Reverend Solomon Mbulo, who is helping us, discuss various issues that are affecting in our country and the church. expectation on the Democracy Summit that the country is soon to have. But anyway, for me, Miriam Kaimba, and my colleague Zipporah Mshala, this is where we say our goodbyes and stay blessed. Please make time tomorrow to join Patrick Soko and Sharon Kalimbula as they take you into current affairs. Good morning.